All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to the Memory Cafe. Today we have the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula, and they've got a great program to share with us. So I'm going to just let them take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for having us. It's been a while. I've come out to the library back in the before times and brought artifacts, but today we're going to do it virtually. And we figured since everybody's been cooped up in their own homes and had a chance to think about all the things that make our lives, our daily lives better that we have in our homes, it might be fun to look at some things from the past that were big technological advances, or maybe things that they thought would be a big deal and then weren't. And we'll look at the artifacts together and we'll make some guesses. Maybe some of them are going to be familiar to you and some of them might look strange and like you've never seen them before. And we're going to look at some fun advertisements from the past too.
Well,
so
great.
We can see, probably some of them will be real familiar or things that, look like ads you might have seen before, and some of them are just kind of fun to look at. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll kind of go back and forth from sharing my screen and then showing you artifacts, and then Emma's going to help me explain what things are. She's our new curator of collections. She moved here from Maine back in October, so she's pretty brand new to Missoula, and we're really happy to have her here. So I'm sure the next time we get to do one of these in person, I'll bring Emma with me too.
Emma, okay. You're from Maine, huh?
I am indeed. Yeah, I came from vacation land to Big Sky Country.
That doesn't make you a maniac, does it?
It does not. And weirdly enough, we don't use that term.
Okay.
There are people who call us that though, so don't worry. That's okay, because now you work at the Hysterical Museum. Exactly. So. There you go.
Okay.
So excellent. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here if I can ever figure out how to do it right. And we'll see.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I got it on the first try. Now we'll see if I can get it so you can't see all my slides at the same time. Go. Slideshow. That seems like the button I'm supposed to push. There we go. There. Okay, so we're making the most of being at home. And I thought this was kind of funny. A lot of people have been working from home, and this is one of those early working from home things, a Stanley hostess party. Did anybody ever have a Stanley steamer or some other kind of Stanley? I didn't even know they made all the things in that picture, but it's pretty fun to look at the patterns on the couches and the colors of everyone's clothing.
Yeah. Stanley hostess.
And Emma just told me that Stanley is from Maine, so a connection I didn't even know.
And my aunt used to sell Stanley products in Billings.
Oh, really?
And so we were really familiar with it because she always wanted us to buy it too.
Yeah,
and, yeah. There's a lot. They had a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
So they have, and then also the one I'm a little more familiar with is Tupperware. So that was an early work from home company, and I think Tupperware is still around. I certainly still have some.
Definitely.
It's just fun to see how carefree and happy that lady is with her rewarding Tupperware career. And you can see the cars in the background. Looks like probably 1950s. Pretty cars there.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people during quarantine have been getting really into baking, and that is not new. A lot of people have baked their own cakes and things, but people have gotten back into it. A lot of people have been making sourdough bread. I never quite got that far, but I've made just everything else under the sun. And you can see this ad for Mixmaster. There's only one Mixmaster, and it can do all sorts of really great things. Kind of reminds me of my KitchenAid. It seems like I have a big red KitchenAid mixer, and that seems to be the Mixmaster of today. All right. And then maybe you're at home and you're starting to think you need to upgrade some of your glassware. This lady here has some pretty bar equipment and glassware here. Probably would be pretty expensive at this point. I like all the colors there. It's kind of fun to see how into color they were in the 60s. Did anybody have fancy glasses, cocktail glasses and things?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And then this one, I put fast food on here because this is just an amazing device that I didn't know ever existed. Did you know you could make your toast and your coffee at the same time? This one actually came out in 1918, so more than 100 years ago, and then they were in production into the 1930s. So I think that's pretty clever, a nice space saver there. I don't know how well the coffee turned out or how well it toasted, but I did read that you could get a waffle attachment for it. And they did also say that you could make bacon and eggs in that little drawer there, but I don't think I trust it for that. But that was the Armstrong Perco toaster.
Yeah.
Which is a fun name,
Yeah,
if
it's
anything
quite
else.
a name, you know.
Yeah.
Got to get that perk and your toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked by electricity, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And so when I was looking it up, I found out there are still some that you can find on the market, but because of the sort of transition in power and plugs and things like that, if you got one now, it would be pretty hard to plug it in. I think you'd need a special adapter. Yeah. Seems like when I was growing up, we still had a percolating coffee machine, but now I don't see them as much. So, all right. Okay, so we are ready for our first What's This? So I'm going to stop the share for a second.
That's a question mark. Oh,
Yep. Good job. Jim's ready. All right, what do we got first here?
Since I spoiled it.
That's okay. Yeah, go ahead, bring it up. Okay, here is our first artifact. Emma is going to show it to us here. And you guys can shout out what you think it is, or maybe if you know what year around it.
it's
It's like a hair dryer.
Yeah,
a
blow
hair
dryer.
or a hair dryer, isn't it?
Yep, it definitely is. So, does anybody remember having a hair dryer like that?
I just
It's got
remember
a-
seeing.
The fancy box there. You can kind of tell from
Wow.
the styling on the design there.
It's going to be backwards for y'all, but the company is Handy Hannah.
Handy
Which-
Hannah.
I had never heard before.
Does it have any special features or anything, or is it just?
Well, it says it has an on-off switch
That's important.
and a hot-cold switch.
Nice.
Oh.
So,
Very, well, it says apparently it had a removable stand, which
Ah.
is always nice.
Now, how old, what year did that come out?
Let's see. Did we
Yeah, but-
find out? Was it 50s?
Is there a date on that box?
There isn't a date on the box, but that kind of hair dryer was probably 1950s or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say 50s, and you can see like you can guess by the design with the
The
stars and
colors
stuff on
and-
there.
Yeah.
Well, I
The
can
real-
remember. I can remember seeing it that early on too in the 50s. I remember seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I can't see it. Nope.
Jim, did you have long hair then?
No. I was still wearing diapers, I think.
Yeah. All right, let me jump back on my screen share. Oh, I've lost it again. Oh, guys, this is going to be quite the
Oh, yeah.
adventure together. Let's see if I can.
Oh,
do it.
Sue is new, isn't it? We just have a new person on here, don't we?
Yeah, Diane just joined.
Welcome, Diane.
Welcome,
Okay.
Diane.
Yeah, just saying. Top brands during the 50s was Handy Hannah.
All right, so Handy Hannah. If you had a blow dryer in the 50s, if you were in a top brands, it would have been a Handy Hannah. Okay, and so here's another, just another example of the box, but
Yeah.
this one's maybe a little bit later. Well, I'm just guessing. So, all right, all of that, and let's do our next artifact. Okay, what do we got next? Okay.
All right.
Oh dear, let's see. Oh dear.
You may not
Oh, yeah,
remember the
that was the
name, but you
view
might remember what it does.
I remember what it
You
is.
see 3D, doesn't it? 3D
That's right.
photos?
You see 3D in your photographs.
Mhm. Yeah, and it has some really great, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but it has some really great engraving there on the
Right.
top. It's in wonderful condition.
Yes, it
Pretty
is.
Cool. Yeah, manufactured by Underwood and Underwood.
Underwood and Underwood. And what doesn't it have a fun name? Sun sculpture stereotype. It's got a little
Yeah.
sun on
Do you
it.
have some of the photography that you stick?
Do we have any
into
up
it?
here?
Not up here with us.
We do have some,
Okay.
but not up here with this.
Okay.
So the next time I come out, I'll bring one with the
Yeah.
slides. so
Oh,
we
all
can play
right,
with
because
it,
I think
they're
there were
so
two
fun.
photos, the two
Exactly.
photos, and then when you looked at it, it was
Yeah,
so
it's-
clever.
Kind of like the more modern, like the weird eye puzzle things where you're supposed to like
Yeah.
cross your eyes and then things pop out. I can never make those work. But this one works for me. You have the two pictures that are almost identical. You look through and somehow it becomes 3D.
Really
Super
work.
cool if you think about, 3D from more than 100 years ago. Because when I
Yeah.
was reading about them, those guys came out in the very early 1900s. And then maybe you guys might have had those Viewmasters, that you put up and then you
Yeah.
click. So that's sort of a more modern version of that.
Yeah. And those stereoscopes, they used to make photos for that all the time. And so there's huge collections and a lot of archival collections everywhere. They have those kinds of views. And it's actually a specific kind of lens inside of the viewer itself that is what helps to cause that 3D viewing. The only reason I know that is because at my previous job, I had a volunteer who wanted to take on the process of making one from scratch.
Whoa.
So he had to work on all of the science and the math to figure out how that worked, and he had to buy special lenses that fit right in. And so apparently if you wear glasses, it doesn't work nearly as well because of that specific lens, but they're really neat nonetheless.
Yeah, they are.
And teachers could get boxes of different themes. So if you were studying insects or animals or different places around the world, you could check those out too. All right, let's see. I don't think I had anything super cool on this one. Oh, I did it again. I don't know, guys. I don't know about this technology. I didn't sign up for technology. I signed up to work at a museum. Just kidding. Okay. So here's another picture of a. Sorry, guys. We'll get to the stereoscope. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys. a
Oh,
quick
yeah,
one.
exactly.
So that one you can see the picture, the two pictures there. This is from a different museum, and then you can see in the background what they would look like. Almost exactly the same.
Perfect.
So what if I pause the share? Will I not lose it? Let's find out.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So our next artifact. There we go. You
Once
guys,
I show you the bottom, you'll hopefully know exactly what it is.
An iron, huh?
Whoever uses those anymore?
yeah, not me. I have an iron, but not an ironing board,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really work.
And the thing that strikes me about this is just how thin it is. Like if you move the cord
Yes.
slightly,
Yeah.
this is only like, it's what, an inch maybe wide
That
compared
had
to
a
the
special
big
purpose.
thick ones.
That had a special purpose, like doing pleats or ruffles or something. I remember seeing those because it wasn't, and of course we're used to steam irons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this one, it is an electric one, so it doesn't, at least you didn't have to put it on a stove and then
Yeah.
have it. So it looks like it has buttons for rayon, silk, wool, cotton, and linen.
Wow.
And it was listed as a travel iron, which is maybe
Okay.
why it's so light.
Yeah.
This handle, it could technically be taken off, but it's definitely pretty high. So I don't know how much space you're saving with this one, but it's technically a travel iron from what I know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
How do I go back to the share? Oh, resume share. Okay, let's come back. Okay. From current slide. Yay, I did it right this time. Okay, so we did the travel iron. And this isn't quite the same electric iron, but it's from about the same time period. And you can see that you could buy a whole ironing set. You could get the GE Dial the Fabric, so a lot like that one where you can choose rayon or cotton or wool.
45?
And
No,
an ironing
it's
board.
Oh, it costs
9.45.
$9.45.
And you could get both of them for $10, so say $5.95 or yeah, that's pretty sweet.
$10?
Mhm. The General Electric, obviously, that's a company that's been around for a long time, and they made a ton of different products. So,
Which those we were different.
okay. All right. I'm going to pause this guy again, see if I can do this right. Okay. Next artifact.
So this one will be a little bit harder for me to hold up because it's a bit bigger, but bear with me. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to carefully turn it onto its side here. And you can see it has writing. That's what I was worried about.
And a sliding
It
drawer.
opens. There we go. Now I can hold it a little bit better, but you can see there's special knobs on the front. Do you guys have any guesses?
Nope.
Stumped 'em. All right. Okay. So this beautiful device, I got to read the name off it without, is the Nap Monarch Ready Baker. It is capable of making biscuits, rolls, brown and serve, cupcakes, cornbread, Melba toast, potatoes. It can warm stuff, and it can even do meats and fish. So this is,
They called it a roaster oven.
a little roaster oven.
Yeah.
But it has a, a plug here. You can take it wherever you want. So, if Emma was working at her desk and really wanted some biscuits, she could just plug it in next to the laptop and then put the dial on the right thing and put her biscuits inside there. And
It was an easy bake oven.
kind of like an easy bake oven, although I think, how does it heat? What's the heat
Heating
element?
coils.
Yeah, it's got coils rather than a light bulb, but pretty neat. It's, fairly portable. Kind of reminds me of how now we have our ovens and our range tops and all that kind of stuff, but you also have your air fryer and your Instapot and your crock pot and your toaster oven.
From what I could tell, this was like coming out right around when the toaster ovens were coming out, and basically toaster ovens were deemed much better than this. That's why this was pretty not what long lived in the world of kitchen appliances.
Okay, I think I found an ad.
The others were cute.
So here's our ad there for the Nap Monarch Automatic Electric Ready Baker for only $24.95. You could have your own desk baker there, and you can see those beautiful Pillsbury biscuits in there.
Their version of the Instabaker.
Or, as it says here, you can bake straight at the table. So you can have them super fresh and burn your fingers.
I can imagine maybe for like Thanksgiving, that'd be kind of nice because you wouldn't have to use oven space to bake your biscuits. You could have this little guy right on the table cooking them for you.
That's true. All right. Okay, for our next artifact, we got another weird one.
So another hard one for me to hold, but we will do our best.
It's pretty though.
Oh, that's a, oh dear, what is it? I know what it is.
You're gonna get a hint.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
gonna
what it
be
is.
a waffle iron, isn't it?
Waffle
There
iron.
you go.
Waffles, that's what, I couldn't think of the word, that's what.
And does that one, Emma, does that one plug in? Is it electric?
It is.
Okay, so I see there's a plug
Yeah.
spot on the back. Yeah, I just love the design on the top though. Did you guys check that
Yeah, I
out?
don't know
It's kinda
how
hard to
well
Oh,
see.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
It's pretty ornate,
Yeah.
and it's got its little handle there.
The most ornate waffle iron I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's much fancier than the one we have at home.
That's
Then you
cool.
can see where it plugs in there. In the
Yeah.
back.
So we have a date on that.
Yeah, what did we figure out? Random, at least a decade maybe?
So this particular style of waffle iron was originally patented in 1922 by
Wow,
Charles Randolph, who worked for the Edison Electric Company, which eventually became GE. And this one was specifically, the reason we could figure out that this one was different is because of that design. His
Yeah.
specific patent had these Art Deco designs that were really
Yes.
pretty.
Cool.
that's
So do we
cool.
think it was that early? 19,
Yeah.
20, 30?
I
That's
would say
really,
about around then, yeah, 20s or 30s.
sure, but how amazing it was back then to see that,
Yeah.
something so modern and so technical coming out like
Mhm.
that. Wow,
Super
impressing
fancy.
people.
Did you guys grow up having waffles at home? Like waffles for breakfast sometimes?
Yep.
We
A lot.
always- we were always pancakes. I don't know. Never did the waffles. I think we just didn't have a waffle iron, but we have a waffle iron now, and now I'm a big fan of pancakes or of waffles. I still like pancakes too, but
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we found an ad for that one. Oh yes, here we go. Here's a nice one for the Hot Point version of this. I don't remember. Is this one a Hot Point?
Yep, this
Yeah.
is a hot point.
Yeah, so, and of course, it lets us know we could have delightful breakfasts, Sunday suppers, and bridge luncheons just by using this one machine. So don't just limit yourself to waffles, guys. You can make other
Yeah,
stuff, and I'm
that's
sure that
cool.
we've got a cookbook for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ad looks a lot later, so it's possible the original was patented in 1920s, and then they slightly developed it into the 50s or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's still stunning either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it makes me hungry.
Yeah, I know. I'm so all this kitchen stuff. I'm really hungry now.
Okay. All right, for our next artifact.
Oh dear, what is it? That's a telephone, that's a,
Radio?
it
Yeah.
could
Mhm.
be a radio, yeah.
Is it in a little case?
Yeah.
In an original cowhide case.
Cowhide.
That's apparently, I mean, I could probably jimmy it out, but it's
But
pretty
it
in there.
looks like it's screwed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for protection, probably.
Yeah. So it is there's a specific name, an AM Motorola transistor radio.
Yes,
Oh,
So I suspect that
Bro.
we've all been enjoying TV shows and music and podcasts and NPR and all that kind of stuff during this quarantine. So it's fun to see, you know, I bet that getting this technology to the point where it was affordable for normal folks to be able to carry around your own transistor radio was probably a pretty big deal.
it
at the
was.
time. It was, yeah. Do you guys remember having getting one of these and just being like, you could go anywhere and listen to stuff? Pretty cool.
Mhm.
All right, let's see if I had an ad for that one. Oh, there we go. They're having a good time. Looks like a 1950s ad there.
1950s. Mhm.
Hmm. Sounds like the band's right there. Fits in
Yes.
your palm.
Video.
Yeah.
Fits in your palm or his shirt pocket. It's very specific. His shirt pocket.
Oh, gross.
You know, it's very interesting now that those kind of portable, small little devices are now available in third world countries where, you know, they don't have much connection with the rest of the world, but they can listen to the broadcasts from around the world on their radio.
Yeah.
They're
It's
becoming
pretty-
available to poor people, you know,
Mhm.
poor people can afford them.
It's pretty cool too now with our technology that we have. We can find radio stations from all over the world that you can listen to on your computer.
Yeah.
So if you wanted
Yeah.
to know, say, what they're listening to in Chile or someplace in Africa or
Sure.
Finland, you could
Sure.
find that,
I don't.
which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
The battery lasts 100 hours. That's pretty long.
Yeah, and of course we may know Motorola as a different maker of things now. Are Motorola phones still a thing?
Yeah, they still make they make cell phones.
I doubt they still make radios to this day.
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
don't
they do.
I like how it says fits your palm or his shirt
I know
pocket.
it's very specific there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can really go. You can take a deep dive into some of the cultural norms that you find in
Advertising.
Yeah,
Well, the one thing I'll say is maybe just ladies didn't have pockets.
this is true.
So,
Yeah.
you know, maybe
Or
girls-
if they did, they weren't supposed to carry anything big and bulky in them.
That's
That
true.
is
You wouldn't
true.
want to
Would
mess up
ruin the
your
line of their garment.
silhouette. Yeah,
I just think it's funny how they underlined it.
yeah, me too.
really, for sure.
They're like very clear about it.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. What else we got here?
All right, so this one will be another, you guys will get it right away, but it's still a really neat example of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Old
Yeah.
fashioned.
So
Yeah.
it is a rotary phone, and from what we can tell, or what it was described as, it's a French style, which is why it's not as square. It has that, essentially, I would also call this a European style because it has that nice stem right
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
Golly.
connecting the still functional rotary part.
Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Hand that to a kid to try to figure out how to use.
I know. We have an exhibit. We're not open to the public right now, but we have an exhibit and it's about communication in the Forest Service. But we have a couple of rotary phones set up so that when we're allowed to have people in, you know, we can show kids like how you dialed on a rotary
Yeah.
phone.
Oh, gosh.
I
Yeah.
will say, not even just the rotary, but this thing would be
Oh, yeah.
very confusing
Yeah.
for kids. A cord of some
I
kind.
know.
They wouldn't understand at all.
Golly. That reminds me, I can remember back in the 40s, we lived out in the country and in the Sierras, and our phone was made out of a wooden box on the wall.
Mhm.
We had a crank and two little bells.
Yep.
And so when you dial somebody, you had to do a long, short, short, long by
Yep.
code. Who you want, and there'd be 20 people on the same line. So every time you
Mhm.
dial any particular
Party
person,
lines.
all 20. would
Party
answer.
line, yep.
Party
So
lines.
it wasn't.
Yeah, Jim, you're
line.
gonna have to come out and see our exhibit because I heard you say you were a forester.
Yeah.
But we have different phones from ranger stations, and we've got the ones that you can crank up and
Yeah.
stuff, so it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, and one of our volunteers actually built one out of a clear plexiglass, so you can see what the inside of that wooden
Oh,
box would look
sure.
like. So
Good.
kids can really understand, or actually, even
Me.
me can understand what's physically inside that box that's making the phone call for you.
It still seems like magic to me though.
Yeah, it's still a
personally.
little magic.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I had an ad. I think I do for that one. Verified. All right, so these aren't the same time period as the one that we were just looking at, but I grabbed this picture, the ad for the Princess phone, because I was talking to my mom and she was telling me about the Princess phone that she had growing up in her bedroom. It was like a really big deal to have this Princess phone. And I always pictured a French style rotary phone when she said a Princess phone, because that seems like a princess would have a phone like that. But then I saw this ad and it had that like light up around the dial parts and stuff. And so, and that's probably about, that ad is probably from right around the same time period where my mom got her Princess phone. So
I would wonder why it's called a princess.
I don't know.
Nothing about that screams princess.
yeah, I think that was the name brand, but
And it was also kind of a statusy thing, is because it was a statusy thing to have one of those. If you were just middle class or lower, you didn't have one of those.
no wonder my mom was so excited about it.
Yeah.
Then the other ad here that I found I thought was just really funny. It's probably from the last time we had a global pandemic. It says, when in quarantine, people who are in quarantine are not isolated if they have a Bell telephone. So that was probably from the 1918 flu.
Yeah.
And you can see, they're just happily hanging out, reading books and talking to friends during their quarantine. So
The other thing I didn't quite realize is the idea of who invented the telephone is apparently not as straightforward as you think.
oh, really?
Yeah, apparently, we all think of Mr. Bell being the inventor, but apparently there were like 3 or 4 other inventors who were creating that technology at the same time and came right at their patents at the same time. So there were huge lawsuits about who had invented it first. And so they had to add identifiers saying, oh, well, he invented the most practical, usable, long-term distance telephone system.
Okay.
And so apparently it's a lot more complicated than I thought.
See.
And this is our last one.
Okay. All right. We have one more artifact to share. So I think I did that right. Yep.
Get
Okay.
those vintage feels in there for you.
Polaroid camera,
It's a
That's
camera,
great.
a Polaroid camera. Good grief.
the land camera.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, this is specifically a one-step Polaroid land camera.
And do we have a guess around what the time period for that one is? Is it 60s, 70s?
70s?
70s? They seem pretty, like the design didn't change too much.
1960s.
Okay, so that one came from the 60s, but even when I was a kid in the 80s, I remember having a Polaroid that looked pretty similar, although to be honest, I might have inherited it from a sibling. So,
Yeah.
but here's a couple of different ads for Polaroid. One is pretty close, that one up top.
Yeah,
Pretty similar to
it
that
has
one.
that rainbow stripe right down
Yeah.
the center there.
Yeah, but then I thought this older one was even more
love
fun,
those.
like the original Polaroid land cameras, and so those were the first ones that you could actually, get your image immediately, just like we love with Polaroid now.
And they do still make some kind of instant photograph cameras now.
Mhm.
They're a lot smaller and they usually make much smaller photographs than a traditional Polaroid, but
Yeah.
at least kids could maybe potentially understand
Yeah.
how this would work.
Yeah.
I've interacted with some kids where we've had maybe a camera from the 50s, and they turn it around to look at the back to see, because they're so used to digital pictures, right? They're like, well, where do you see your picture? And I'm like, get this. You had to take the film sometimes you had to mail the film away, and then you had to wait for the pictures to come back. And those old Brownie cameras, you had to mail your whole camera away. So it's amazing how much technology can change just in our own lifetime.
Yep.
So, and then the last thing we have is a question for you guys. So obviously we are in the business of collecting artifacts about history, and history happens every day. So what do you guys think will be artifacts that tell the story of this year and this past year? So what do you think that museums will want to collect? Oh, yep, Jim's got a mask. I think definitely a mask. Yep.
That's unique.
Mm-hmm. Somehow
COVID vaccine.
What was that?
A COVID vaccine.
A COVID vaccine, yeah, definitely. Probably some vaccines, or at least the vials.
Bread recipes,
Bread recipes.
sourdough starter recipes.
Yep.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. Yeah.
Or bidets.
Yeah, totally. It's going to be funny to look at like bidet sales over time. It's like, well, what is that big blip in 2020? Why were people buying bidets?
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer.
Yes, hand sanitizer, definitely. I don't think of what else. Somehow, I know if you could do Zoom as an artifact, probably.
Maybe just the different kinds of because there's like the Facebook portal, there's the other like camera things that you have in your house, or even the Alexas of the day, because they probably won't be used too much in the future in their same state at least.
Yeah.
So the Alexa show or the Facebook portal, we have one of each now.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So those are definitely, things that we probably didn't think a ton about 2 or 3 years ago, but are now so much part of our daily lives. So
yeah,
it is fun. I mean, I am a little tired of living through a historical event, but it is kind of interesting to know that, we're experiencing something that hopefully people won't have to deal with for another 100 years, and making the most of it. So
yeah.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up?
Are you guys open for physical visitation too?
We are by appointment. So if you want to come out, you can give me a call or give us a call and we can set up a time. But we're not open to the public to just walk in. A lot of us are still working from home most of the time, so we just have to schedule things like that.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
we're hoping maybe in March or April at the latest, we'll be able to open some regular hours. So that's my hope anyway.
But the thing, you still have some Forest Service regalia there too, though.
Yeah, we have a really great collection right now. So Jim, we'd love to have you out. So
sure.
Yeah,
Let's
that
see.
exhibit will be up for quite a while.
yeah, and that's true too. So we put up 2 new exhibits during the pandemic that nobody gets to see. So they're going to be up for a long time after we open, so you don't have to worry about missing anything.
Sure, but if I called you on the phone, I could come in by myself and look it over.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Steve could. That'd be great. All right, guys. Well, I guess I will let you go enjoy the rest of your day. And the library folks can give you my contact info if you want to schedule a tour or something. And otherwise, we'll hopefully the next time we get to see each other, it will be in person.
Now we can look you up in the phone book, can't we? Or
Yep, you can do that too. Yep.
Those are phone books. That's a historical thing too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Phone books.
definitely.
Okay,
right.
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care. Stay safe and healthy.